Yeah. All right, let's dive right into it. And this first question comes from Shandon_97, who gave us an Apple Podcast 5-star review. Thank you, Shandon. Question is, Teddy, what would be your all-time OU linebacker lineup? You can include yourself if you like, LOL. Gabe, what would be your all-time OU offensive line lineup? You can include yourself as well if you would like, LOL. No disrespect to some of the legends of OU football. So, all right, here we go. All-time linebacker lineup. Who do you got?
That's an interesting one. Number one, George Cumby absolutely has to be on there. Boz has to be on there. And I'm thinking I would probably either go Daryl Hunt or Torrance Marshall. Probably Hunt. His stats are unbelievable, and he's a guy that could play the edge now too if you need him to. Probably Cumby, Boz, and Hunt.
That's solid. You would be on my list if that. You would be on my list. I think really kind of an under the radar guy. Curtis Lofton was a damn good football player.
Total beast. Total beast.
So I don't know. I'd have to think about it more linebacker wise because, I'd have to dive into the tape, take a closer look, but there's definitely some good options.
You almost have to go pre-2000 and post-2000 because that's almost like the breakover of where the game really started to change. Like pre-2000, you have a lot of backers that are built to stop the run. You're stopping option stuff. You're stopping I formation stuff. So it's like heavy, big backers in the box that can, thud and do those type of things. And then, 2000, you start to get into way more involved in passing game and man-to-man coverage and in all of those type of things. So you almost have to go like, I don't want to say modern, it's just different styles. And if you do that, Curtis Lofton, there's no doubt he's 100% on that list. And I have zero objection if you put him on the all-time list.
Yeah. I don't want to disrespect the old timers because, I'm thinking about who my all-time OU offensive line would be. Like I've got a ton of respect, even though I didn't see him play. Right. I don't really know anything about him other than the awards they won. But, guys like Greg Roberts, JD Roberts, and Jim Weatherall, like, I know their names, but it's like, they're not better players than Trent Williams. Like, they're just not. Like, you can't convince me just because over time, humans have gotten bigger, faster, stronger. You just look at the offensive linemen now compared to the offensive linemen in the 60s and 70s, and it's just like, it's completely different. So my all-time O-line it's going to be more modern because I just think the people they're just bigger humans and they're more athletic. I'm going Trent Williams and Lane Johnson at tackle. And I know that Lane Johnson, he didn't have some stellar college career, but I think you have to factor in what these guys did as pros as well. And Lane has had, he's the 4th pick of the draft, and he has had a spectacular pro career, and I think is going to be a borderline Hall of Fame type guy. Trent Williams is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, he's been that good as a pro. And the interior, I don't think there's really much of an argument for anyone else other than Jamal Brown.
Yeah,
won the Outland Trophy, first rounder, but follow me on this. He is on my all-time OU offensive line. I'm just playing him at guard. I'm playing him at right guard.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I know he was a first rounder as a right tackle, but I have to get him on the field somehow. And, like any good O-line coach does, Ted, I'm getting my best 5 on the field. And
I like it.
I looked at Lane and I looked at Jamal and I was like, who do I think could bump inside a little easier? I said, Jamal, come on down. Come play in the
Nice.
inside. So I'll have Jamal Brown at right guard, Lane Johnson at right tackle, Trent Williams at left tackle. I'm going to go ahead and take Davin Joseph, another first rounder, big, massive, powerful man. And I'm going to go ahead and stick him in there as my left guard. And then the man running the show, the best center in the history of OU football, is Creed Humphrey. And I will debate anyone about that. I'll just debate anyone. He's a freak. I mean, the kid's a freak in nature when it comes to strength and athleticism. And he is going to have an incredible NFL career, health pending, of course, but I think his rookie year was just an appetizer of what he's going to be as a player. So give me those five: Trent Williams, Creed Humphrey, Jamal Brown, Lane Johnson, Davin Joseph. That's a pretty salty O-line.
I'm just sitting here like smiling. That is beyond salty.
That's 4 first rounders and a guy that should have been a first rounder in Creed. Second rounder, but he should have been first round talent.
Man, that's crazy. Yep, that's pretty impressive.
Any
pretty
debates?
Impressive. No, I'll roll with that. Yeah, there's other guys that are, right there, but man, that's good. I like that one.
So
hell, I could run behind that line.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this next question comes from Dan Graham, Hawaii. Gave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and he said, with regards to the O-line, how much of the blocking schemes are developed by the offensive line coach versus the offensive coordinator versus the running backs coach? Walk me through how they typically collaborate and then how their plan gets taught to the players. When you look at those three coaches on the current OU staff, whose tendencies, themes, preferences do you think will most heavily be represented in the running schemes? Or just give your thoughts on how that dynamic will work itself out. That's a great question. And there's so much that goes into developing an offensive system, but I think it's important, and you can kind of speak to this on the defensive side, Ted. What the offensive coordinator says goes, right? The offensive coordinator is the boss of all the other offensive coaches. That's how it works. That's why they're the offensive coordinator. So their philosophies and beliefs and the ways that they want things done are going to be what ends up winning out in these discussions. But great offensive coordinators usually have very open lines of communication with their running backs coach and their offensive line coach. Now, Bill Bedenbaugh you talk about a guy that has all kinds of respect. Like Jeff Lebby and Bill Bedenbaugh get in a room and they're going to talk through everything. And Lebby's going to say, and remember, Lebby was an offensive lineman, so he understands the position. They're going to talk through every single scheme in the run game and come to kind of a general consensus of how they want to do it. The last thing you can have is the offensive coordinator telling you one thing and to do it a certain way, and the offensive line coach not going along with that. You have to have continuity in how you approach not only the concepts, but the techniques you want used in those concepts. So I think that ultimately the offensive coordinator collaborates with all the assistant coaches on everything, and they get on the same page. But you will see offensive line coaches, like they'll be considered the run game coordinator or something like that. Like they'll come up with the run plan for the game plan for that week. In those situations, it's all still run through the offensive coordinator. Like the offensive coordinator is the one that's going to look at it and say, okay, like it, don't like it, don't like it. But from a technical standpoint, from aiming points, the way they want to do certain things on the front side of zone as opposed to the backside, like that is all a collaboration between everyone. And then the running backs coach has to know all of that and relay it to his players and tell them where their reads are. Like running backs aren't sitting back there. This is something people may not understand. Running backs aren't sitting back there going, okay, Those two guys are working to the mic. Those two guys are working to the wheel. No, no, no. They know what they're supposed to read. And they read that, whether it's the butt of the guard, whether it's the inside cheek of the tackle, whether it's the crack of the center, and some of these inside zone schemes that are, kind of designed to cut back behind all the front side stuff. Like they on the sheet, there's a little star for the running back. Hey, like this is your read. You're reading the 3 technique. There's all kinds of different philosophies, but ultimately it's about good communication. And that's what all football is about, really.
Yeah. I think it's probably the only way I can really get my point across is I picture it as way more of like one brain. So for the most part, you don't have an offensive staff that is just totally separate. One guy has an idea about the running game, another has an idea about the running game, and they come in and they like hammer it out until one of those ideas wins. They are in offensive staff meeting rooms all together constantly. They watch the practices together. They watch the game film together. It's all done as one. So it's more of a total collaborative effort to come up with something than maybe just one person has the idea and we roll with their idea. Right? Someone may want to run outside zone and have some ideas on how to block it, and the offensive coordinator may say that, well, that doesn't really tie in very well to our pass game. Like, can we build some pass game off of it? It's just like, I think it's more organic than just coming in with ideas and throwing them up against the wall and say, let's do this one. I think it all just kind of ends up working its way out, and everyone has their opinion on the matter. And, there are times where, like, take Oklahoma early 2000s, for example, had a really good offense, had a Heisman Trophy winner in 2003, right? Well, you have a guy come on campus by the name of Adrian Peterson. So you take a lot of what you did in the running game and just eliminate it and say, what do we build for this particular guy to highlight his strengths? Forget what everyone else does well. How do we really highlight what he does well? And then you may start kind of from the ground up on some of those things because you have a special individual player. Other times, you may not have someone that is that special, and you just kind of go with what you generally have kind of built your program for.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. All right, we're answering more questions. But first, the only place to stop when you're road tripping is Love's Travel Stops. Love's has over 560 locations, 41 states, offering 24-hour access to clean and safe places. Whatever your road trip needs are, Love's has it. Fuel, fresh food, all the snacks and drinks, including my favorite, yes, Java Amore. That coffee is fantastic. Love's also has you covered if you forget your phone charger or headphones. They've expanded their mobile to go zone so you can grab any of that stuff there. Make sure you download the Love's Connect app for exclusive offers from today's most popular brands. The Love's Connect app also includes a route planner and store locator. When you see that red neon heart on the highway, stop in and say hi at Love's Travel Stops. For a full list of what Love's has to offer, visit loves.com.
Opolis Clothing is the exclusive home for all of your Oklahoma Breakdown merchandise. If you want to live your life in buttery soft comfort, go to opolisclothing.com. That's OPOLIS clothing.com. Use our promo code TED, TED, for 10% off your entire order. You still get the discount on all of the OU and Oklahoma City Thunder gear as well. That's opolisclothing.com. Use our promo code TED, TED, for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
All right, this question comes from Bees Nuts on Apple. Gave us a 5-star review. Thank you. Bees Nuts says, who was your wow, I'm really lining up / playing against this guy moment? I'll let you go first.
My I think it was my first preseason game that I ever played. It was definitely was against the Steelers, and Jerome Bettis was running back. That was my first ever tackle in the NFL. Was against Jerome Bettis. Had it then. Like Randy Moss was kind of the same thing. Whenever he was in Minnesota, and same kind of the same thing with Brett Favre. It was really cool going up against Brett Favre.
Yeah. So when I was in Detroit, we went and we had a joint practice. So my rookie year, right? I'm with the Titans. We really didn't have like we did a joint practice against Atlanta. You know, like seeing Matt Ryan in person was one of those things where you're like, wow, seeing Julio Jones in person, you're just like, oh my God, that guy is he couldn't look better. But like going against a guy, it actually didn't happen to my till my second year because I blew my knee out in the third preseason game my rookie year, and we had a joint practice against the Steelers, and we went to do field goal, and I look up, and James Harrison is standing right across from me, and it was one of those things where I was like, "Oh, sweet Jesus, please, please don't come, please don't come." And not only did he not come, like meaning rush the field goal, he and I think I've told this story out here before, but it's a good one, so I'm telling it again. We kick like 2 field goals, and Matt Prater's our kicker, like really well-respected kicker, good kicker in the league, still is. And James Harrison just looks back at him. He's like, "Hey, Prater, you good?" And Prater's like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he's like, "All right, we good then." And he walks the entire Steelers defense off the field. And our special teams coach is like, "What? We're doing field goal." And he's like, we're not doing field goal anymore.
We're done.
He just canceled it. And I went up to him after the practice and I was like, "Man, thank you so much for not rushing." And he was like, "You seem like a nice guy." I was like, "Yeah, thank you so much." It was it was one of those moments where I wasn't paying attention. You know, I'm like the tight end on field goal, getting down in my stance, look up, and I was like, "Holy shit, this could hurt." And
Oh
he
my
didn't
God,
do
that's the
anything.
guy that killed Colt McCoy on national television. Wow, he's lined up against me.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This comes from Davis Dill on Apple. He said, "Can we please get a breakdown from Teddy of his craps betting strategy?"
Very simple. Minimum on the pass line, maximum behind the line. That's about all you need to do. If the table starts to get hot, maybe buy the 10 and the 4. Every now and then when I'm feeling froggy, I'll throw out a yo bet. That's it.
Well, there you go, Davis Dill. Yeah, I'm interested to see if our man Davis gives it a try.
Yep.
Okay, how about this one? We've got this from Joe Coble, and I think this is a good one for you. He said, "Of all the defense you played on, Ted, who would you trust the most to make a tackle in the open field to save the game? And would the answer change depending on who had the ball?" So let's go with 2. Let's say like big, like physical back in space. Let's say like big physical guy in space. Who do you want? And then like short little scat, like great elusiveness guy. Who do you want?
There's 2 guys that I think of, and I think it's so interesting. 2 guys that I think of, and if the ball carrier really doesn't matter, Derek Strait and Andre Wolfold, and those are 2 corners.
That is a stunning answer.
Yeah. Yep.
Derek Strait was a good tackling corner, though.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Andre Wolfolk was unbelievable because we used our corners in our run fits a ton. We played so much cover 2. We used those guys a ton, and we actually like used them in the run fit. They were like a part of the actual fit. We counted them in how we fit runs, and they were both outstanding. I know they have missed tackles, but I don't hardly ever remember either one of those guys missing a tackle.
Good answer. Fans are going to like that. That's a good answer.
Now, if I want to send an opponent out of the game with a tackle, I'm taking Roy Williams.
The first guy that came to mind, like for me, Tony Jefferson. I feel like I can remember so many, like he's in the open field, and every safety misses tackles, but like so many, like it's one-on-one, he's in the open field by himself, and he's like the guy's on the ground, and you're just like, damn, like he just had a gift for it, man.
Yep. It's not easy to do. It's very, very difficult whenever you've got that much space. You've got a great athlete on the other side, and there's always the threat of being, run over as well, which that's part of it. An open field tackle, part of it is accepting getting run over, and a lot of times getting run over is the best way to make that play.
Yeah. All right, here's the last one we're going to answer. This comes from Bo Shelby. If you had to pull a Ted Lasso and coach a sport you know nothing about, what would it be? How would you use your football knowledge to run practices and make in-game decisions?
Wow. That's a great question. It would probably for me have to be something like it's pretty lame, like baseball maybe. I think it's kind of hard to carry over a lot of what you do in football to baseball, other than like a lot of very fast drill work with tons of reps for every guy. Like you're moving quick from one station to the next. Like there's the football, it's really amazing how much you can get done in a short amount of time and really hit a whole bunch of stuff and get better as a player, but almost not do any actual live like football, And I feel like baseball's kind of the same thing, that you can break it down into drills really well. I think anything else like basketball would be so difficult for me, because I mean, there's a lot of strategy involved in basketball, and I just wouldn't have anywhere to start.
I think I'd go soccer. And I know nothing about soccer, but I could see myself like diving into the like strategic component of soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of what you said about the drill work. Like you get on the practice field, like you do some team stuff, but really you're working on the guys individually and their skill sets and like how their skill set applies to their position. And clearly you'd have to learn about the game, but being in great condition, right? Being in better shape than the other team. Yeah, that's very similar to what you want in football. Being more physical than the other team. Very similar to what you want in football. And I don't know. It's like, it seems like a soccer manager doesn't do that much. So I think I could kind of just blend in. I would dress cool. I know that. But
wear a suit and tie every day or something.
I think my strength in that scenario would be like, hey, we're going to train on the practice pitch. And then when it's game day, like, I'm going to let you guys go do your thing. I think I could be a very good, like, hands-on manager. That's what they're called, right? Soccer managers. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
A hands-on manager on the practice field, like extremely detailed, like disciplined, but then game day, let them do their thing, kind of hands off.
I love you. You've got the lingo down. I love that. Everyone on the pitch in 15 minutes. I love that. That's good.
Or we're running laps, lads.